Look at that old lady. She's walking a cat on a leash.
Mrs. Spencer does that all the time, Rick.
Look, I don't want to hear about Mrs. Spencer, Morty. She's an idiot.
Rick and Morty often feels like a completely bonkers show without rules or limitations. But the show is universally loved in part because each episode is written to conform to the same rigid structure.
The so-called story circle is my attempt to remove all of the hard and repeated work from the task of breaking a story.
Co-creator Dan Harmon based his 8-part story circle off the legendary Hero's Journey, or monomyth by Joseph Campbell. But just how closely do the episodes fit? Rick and Morty Season 1 Episode 4 is my favorite episode of the season. Rick, Morty, and Jerry are trapped inside of a simulation, inside a simulation, inside of a simulation by Zigerion scammers, and all 3 of them conform almost perfectly to an 8-part Dan Harmon story circle.
Oh, this is going to be such a mindfuck!
As a little reminder, a story circle goes something like this. 1. Comfort zone. 2. Want something. 3. Enter unfamiliar situation. 4. Adapt to it. 5. Get what they want. 6. Pay a heavy price. 7. Return to the familiar. 8. Having changed. The A story features Rick and Morty as they traverse a classic hero's journey together. Comfort zone, Rick and Morty in a too-good-to-be-true simulation. They want something, to escape, but Rick wants a little something extra.
We're gonna scam the scammers, Morty, and we're gonna take them for everything they've got.
They enter an unfamiliar situation when they escape the first simulation, and they adapt to it by realizing they're still in a simulation and escape to a deeper simulation. They get what they want when they make it to the getaway ship, but pay a heavy price. It was another simulation, so Rick's recipe for dark matter is revealed, and the character we thought was Morty was actually a simulation the entire time. Morty's circle drops off here, leaving Rick to return to the familiar without him. But Rick had apparently understood the scam of the Zigerions the entire time, and he blew them up on principle before flying back to Earth. Having changed. By blowing them up, Rick no longer has to deal with the Zigerions, but personality-wise, he's relatively unchanged. Also, since Morty wasn't actually on the mission, he's not changed either. This episode really solidifies Rick's character as a vengeful, god-like figure in the universe.
Nothing you do matters. Your existence is a lie.
In a perfect hero's journey, the lead character becomes the master of both worlds, the familiar and the unfamiliar, only after adapting, getting their ass kicked, paying a price, and atoning. Here we see Rick apparently going through these steps, only to discover that he has control of the situation the entire time. Ordinarily, a character like Rick could lead to boring, joyless stories with zero stakes because the hero never has anything to lose. The powerful thing about the story circle is that by having Rick hit the beats of an ideal story arc, even if they're just cosmetic, we get a really satisfying story every single time. By the time we discover that Rick never actually went through a hero's journey, there's only 10 seconds and a saxophone riff left in the episode, so it feels more like a fun reversal and less like a big middle finger to the audience. Even Morty was able to give us a great story without actually being there, which further demonstrates the power of the story circle. Almost every plot devoted to Jerry is a be careful what you wish for story, and often has a different feel from a hero's journey because, well, Jerry's not a hero. Comfort zone, Jerry in what he thinks is the real world. He wants something to totally nail his pitch. He enters an unfamiliar situation not by being in a simulation, but having people say yes to him.
Hey, I just sold my first pitch. Slow down.
Looking good.
My man.
He's kind of the sad joke of the universe, so for Jerry, an unfamiliar situation is him being successful. He adapts to it by not adapting and failing upwards. The more pathetic he gets, the more successful he is. And he gets what he wants when he wins the Appley Award. Yes, it's an award that he made up and it was given to him by simulations, but Jerry is such a pathetic sack of hammers that he was able to feel a real accomplishment. Then, of course, he pays a heavy price when it turns out it was a simulation, and he has to run for his life having lost absolutely everything he thought he gained. Finally, he returns to the familiar when the Zigerions let him go. Having changed? Possibly. He's certainly grown slightly as a person, having been exposed to happiness and accomplishment, but we only get a few seconds with Jerry before the episode ends, and future episodes don't really show him being much different.
Get out here and help me!
They say you shouldn't do that. Just run.
Rick and Morty's circles complete the beats in order until Morty is revealed to be a simulation, and Rick is revealed to have known about it the entire time. Despite these two misdirections, the episode maintained its structure almost perfectly. Jerry's circle hits all the beats about as cleanly as they can, despite Jerry's best efforts to sabotage himself. My pick for line of the episode is this.
And now, here's human music.
Human music.
I like it because Jerry's B story is just so fun, and him liking this dumb beepy music so perfectly encapsulates him as an absolute idiot.
Slow down.
Looking good.
My man.
Wow, what an episode. Well, that's it. Go ahead and watch the next one, or leave me a comment, or write yourself a little to-do list and then go accomplish it. Or don't. I'm not your freaking life coach. I love you and I fear you. Until next time.